Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to the Secrets of a Witch podcast with me, Sabrina Scott. Currently, my cat is climbing all over me like I'm a jungle gym, so if you hear any weird noises, that's what's going on. Hopefully everyone's having a great day or evening, whatever time you're listening to this. And on the Secrets of a Witch podcast, I talk all about the things that I feel lead us to a good life, happy life, healed life. I know some people don't like using the word healed because they think that it means that you think you're done, but I actually do think it's important to give ourselves credit for making progress and actually healing some shit, because I do think it's possible. But we talk all about various things: witchcraft, divination, tarot, mindset, limiting beliefs, trauma, psychology, feminine energy, spirituality, all the things on this podcast. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen. Maybe you are driving, maybe you are washing dishes, maybe you are just chilling and listening, zoning out. Either way, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you all supporting this podcast for years now. It seems crazy that this show has been going on for years, but whatever, here we are. Thank you so much for being here, and let's launch into it. So today I want to talk about something I've observed, and it's something I think a lot of people don't realize they're doing, and I think there is a chance that I also did this when I was a teenager or in my early 20s. I honestly don't remember, but I do see it a lot in adults, and I'll just describe what I see. So a lot of the time, folks will complain about their circumstances. They will come up with all of these reasons why they can't do anything to change their circumstances. So let's just use this example that someone is single and they have a busy, full life, but they want to date, but they hate online dating. So someone might say, all the men on online dating are such crap. There's so many of them and so many conversations that lead nowhere. It seems like a waste of time, and I'm not attracted to that many people, and I only want to spend my time on people who are really awesome. I don't want to waste my time with any crap, and I'm so busy, and blah, 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 blah. And so within this little fake speech example that I'm giving you guys, you can already see there's a lot of problems with this person's mindset, right? It's a negative mindset. It's kind of resentful. It sees this act of online dating as like a bother, and all of those attitudes are going to set someone up for failure, right? And so if someone, let's say a friend or community member or something, heard this person complaining and suggested, hey, maybe switch your frame of mind, like maybe only spend a few minutes a day and only engage with people who you are excited by, or maybe just ditch that and go to speed dating, or go to join a club, join a sport, a volunteer. That's a different way to meet people in person if the online thing really bugs you. And then a lot of the time, folks will just come up with reasons like, oh, I live somewhere where there's not any events, and it's too far to drive to join any sports teams, and there's no speed dating near me, so I'd have to drive for 40 minutes, or like whatever fucking crazy shit, right? And so what you can see from that interaction, this is like a fake example, but I've seen this type of thing all over the place. What you see with this type of thing is someone is really not open to feedback and is wanting to come up with excuses to justify their bad results, their bad mindset, their bad attitude, their pessimism, and they're staying stagnant. They're staying in a circumstance that does not serve them, even though they're admitting that the circumstance is unsatisfying. And so we can take a few steps back, analyze this, right? So one thing that I think a lot of folks don't really want to admit is that staying stuck in these shitty circumstances, or even an unsatisfying circumstance, doesn't have to be shitty per se, but something that is unsatisfying, something that we don't want. If we stay in a circumstance we don't want, when we have the opportunity to change, chances are we actually do want that. And so I know I'm going to receive some pushback about this, so let me just explain what I mean by that. Sometimes being in this victim space, it gives people a fast track to certain things, right? Attention, sympathy, conversation. I think attention is really the big one, right? And so it can feel really good to get attention. It can feel really good to have people feel bad for us, and it can feel really good to have other people come up with solutions to our problems. And it can also feel really good to be like, no, that doesn't make sense. No, that doesn't make sense. I can't do this. I can't do that for all these reasons. When actually this person could do these things 99% of the time. Obviously, there's some things that many of us can't actually do. And that's just a fact of life. And I think it's how we orient around that is going to determine our quality of life, our attitude to our own limitations. Every body is going to have things it can do well as limitations. Mine is no different. Yours is probably no different. And if that's not true now, it will be in old age. I think our bodies change as we get older, and that's totally okay. And it's a beautiful part of life. And our interests change, our capacity changes. I definitely have less, social capacity now than I did when I was in my 20s, but I'm loving it. I think it's great to experience these different seasons of life. But anyway, back to the topic, which is how I think a lot of people want to stay stuck. And if you are someone who, when you ask friends or family or community or a coach or a therapist for advice, and they give you advice, they give you ideas, and you keep swatting those ideas down like flies, like an annoyance, then do you really want help, right? In a lot of, I don't even know which literature to talk about here. It's pretty much true in all different types of literature, psychologically, self-help, manifestation, blah, blah, blah. And everyone kind of talks about it differently, but how I'll frame it right now for the purpose of this episode is the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So someone with a fixed mindset is going to be like, no, the status quo is all that will ever be, and I'm miserable, and things aren't working, and nothing will ever work, and I'm not willing to change anything I'm doing, so I'm never going to get different results, but I want to complain and perform as though I do want different results, even though I'm going to do absolutely nothing to make that happen. I call this the I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas type of people, of which there are many, and they just love attention by complaining. And I get it. Sometimes we are going to have these seasons in life where we are genuinely going to have stuff to complain about and things are going to be tough. I totally get it. I've had those seasons myself. And there is, I think, always a different way to relate to that type of circumstance. We can feel it to heal it. We can breathe through it. We can just accept the pain of the situation that we're in. And I do think oftentimes things just recover on their own. Time does heal some wounds. Not all of them, I don't think, but some of them. And that might be your circumstance. And that's totally reasonable. And at the same time, though, I think that is not a lot of people's circumstance, right? A lot of time folks just want to bitch and moan and not actually make change, because change is hard. I get it. It's hard to reprogram your brain. It's hard to rewire your brain. If you're someone who, just as an example, wants to lose weight, but maybe you're super not fit, but you hate looking in the mirror and you're depressed and you're eating terribly and whatever. And if all you're doing is bitching and complaining and feeling miserable and not doing anything different, then yeah, that's kind of on you. It's possible to relate to that circumstance really differently, even though change is hard. And obviously, Rome wasn't built in a day. If someone's goal is to lose weight, that's not going to happen in 24 hours. It's a long-term pattern type of thing. But small habits, small changes, as long as we commit to it and we persist with a positive mindset, we really can move mountains. And it will take time. Serious change sometimes does take years. But with the example of, let's say, fitness, And for me, it's interesting. My goal was never actually to lose weight when it comes to anything. I don't even know how much I weigh. I don't really think I don't know. Who cares? I don't care. But I did know that I wanted to get stronger and I wanted to develop more of an awareness with my body around like my muscles and everything. And so I decided, okay, this sedentary vibe is not going to work for me. I got a little bit lazy during the pandemic. And yeah, that first 6 months of going to Pilates 3 to 4 times a week fucking sucked. I hated it so much. I felt like shit. I was in so much pain afterwards. I hated every minute that I was in that class, even though the teacher was lovely. But I hated it because it was so hard. And I was just not in shape. I had lost all of my fitness over the pandemic, basically. And I was miserable for 6 months doing Pilates. But eventually, once you keep with it, okay, you build strength. The muscle memory comes back. The strength comes back. And it starts being fun again. And if you give up at the first sign of unpleasantness, you're really not going to get anywhere. And this is bad, but during the pandemic, I also got in the habit of ordering hella takeout. And it was all healthy stuff. But it was like, why the fuck am I doing this? I'm a good cook. I'm just being lazy. And so I had to delete all those apps, like delete the Uber Eats membership, delete the DoorDash membership, and challenge myself. Okay, I'm actually going to go walk to get groceries. I'm going to plan my fucking meals. I'm going to, do all this shit, even though I don't fucking want to. And it's a pain in the ass to drag yourself to do these things at first, but change is hard. It requires us to sit with discomfort. It requires us to sit through and persist through our brain screaming at us, being like, no, just do the easy thing. Do the easy thing that you always choose, the cop-out, whether it's not going to the workout, not cooking at home, whatever it happens to be. And in the case of the other example, it's like, seeing online dating, just as an example here, as annoying. Everyone sucks. All these men suck, blah, blah, blah. And that belief really is not going to serve anybody. It really isn't. And there are a lot of amazing men out there. There's a lot of amazing people out there. And I think feeling otherwise is just going to be something that sets us up for failure. And so as we're going through these transitions between the life we have now and the life that we want, it's really important to challenge those self-imposed limitations on ourselves and also the imposed limitations that we're doing on other people. If we just assume that all men are shit and you're someone that wants to date men, well, good fucking luck to you. Like, you're just going to look at all men through that lens, right? If you think that you're never going to be successful in your career and you're looking at everything you're doing from that pessimistic lens, the chances of you finding success are also going to be less, because you're going to not even notice all the positive little things that happen and you're just going to focus on the negative. Same with online dating. If you think all men are shit, and then you're going to notice the ones who are and the ones who aren't, the ones who are great, you're not really going to notice. Right? Because it's a negative lens rather than a positive lens. I'm single right now, right? And so have I encountered stupid men on dating apps? Of course. But I don't think about it. I don't notice it. I just block delete at the first indiscretion. And I don't think about it again. It's not even a blip on my day. I don't think about it. I focus instead on all of the great conversations I've had, all the potential, all of the interesting people that I talk to or that I've encountered out in the world. And who knows, maybe sometimes people prove my optimism incorrect, and that's totally cool. And then you just move on. Okay, now I know, block, delete, move on. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Not worth being depressed about. Not worth worrying about. And so I do see this kind of middle transition stage between now and future me. That is where a lot of folks get kind of trapped, because it is so hard to make these new habits. It is so easy to get seduced by the comfort of our old limiting beliefs, because there's a comfort in misery. There's a comfort in pessimism. because pessimism and misery, they mean that we are insulating ourselves from being vulnerable, having hope, and putting ourselves out there. If we never try, if we never put our whole ass into something, if we never put our full hope and belief into something positive, then we never have to be disappointed. And so it becomes this self-insulating behavior, this self-insulating protective mindset, but it's a self-protection that actually is kind of poisonous. And it's a tough thing to observe in other people. And I'm someone who is really positive. I always want to help everyone and give people like some advice and different perspective, because a lot of people are so negative. And it's interesting to get some pushback sometimes on that. It's fascinating. And so over the years, I've kind of gotten a lot better at noticing, okay, when is someone so uncommitted to change? And when people are really uncommitted to change, they're kind of like this massive boulder. Like you can't move them. They're so deeply committed to walking the same path every day, to having the same thoughts every day. They say they want to change, but everything they're doing, everything they're thinking, it really goes against that concept that they want to change. And so as you are considering your own self-growth journey, your own level up journey, think about it. Do you really want to change? Or are you getting comfort in bitching and moaning? Do you love the attention that you get when things go bad for you? And I get it, right? It's interesting. Some people are really good friends when you're going through a bad time. They want to help. And they're going to be really bad friends when things are going well for you, because it makes them really uncomfortable that you're actually doing well. That is a thing that can be uncovered in this whole process, and that can be a really uncomfortable thing to find out. It can really suck. I get it. At the same time, this uncomfortable growth, and I'll use the example of my own getting back into fitness, because I used to be super fit and go to Pilates like 14 hours a week. It's crazy. I don't know how I did that, but getting back into it post-pandemic, like I said, I really did not fucking want to go. It was a slog for the first 6 months. I was rebuilding my strength. I felt like garbage during every class I did for like 6 months. Now I love it and it's great and I'm excited. But getting past that hump of the new skill building, getting past the hump of like being that newbie again, even though I'd done Pilates a million times, getting past the hump of like your brain not wanting to do the new habit is really hard. And so one way to frame it is I get to do this. I'm so excited to do this rather than I have to do this. You know, I could frame it as, oh, I have to go to the gym. I should go to Pilates. And those framings are very shaming framings. I should. You know? I have to. It's like a parent is yelling at me or something. You know? I have to. Rather than thinking about it as have to, which kind of puts us, if you've got a rebellious streak, it kind of pushes us to want to not do things we have to do, right? So it doesn't sound fun. If we have to do it, how can it be fun? But instead, we can switch it to I want to. I'm excited to. I get to. And it's like, yeah, I have some certain health stuff, as I'm sure you guys know if you follow my work. I have hypermobility. I have something called POTS, you know? And so there are some things I can't do. However, there's also a lot of things I can do. And I'm really excited that I'm able to walk. How great is that? Some people have foot injuries and can't walk, or are in a wheelchair and they can't walk. And I'm not saying being in a wheelchair is terrible. Like, it's great that those folks have that device. And I've heard folks who are in wheelchairs be like, this is not a limitation. This is what gives me freedom. And I think that's the best way to look at it. At the same time, I'm really stoked that I get to be able to walk, even though I have to be really careful with how I walk because of my joints. But I'm so stoked I get to walk. I'm so excited I get to walk to the gym. I'm excited I get to move in a Pilates class that is accessible to me. How amazing is that? I can afford to go. I have the time to go. And my body is able to move in such a way that I can do the class. How amazing is that? There's so many people who can't do that. which isn't to say that their life is miserable. They get to do other types of things, and I'm sure folks are resilient and have other avenues open to them that are accessible, and I think that's wonderful. And I'm still grateful that I get to move my body in this way. I get to go to Pilates. I get to go to the gym. It's a privilege and it's a blessing that I get to go to the gym. It's a privilege and it's a blessing that I get to go to Pilates. How amazing is that? And so when we frame things this way, I get to do this. I get to experience this challenge. I get to teach myself how to cook again because I forgot during the pandemic. I get to teach myself how to be fit again because I forgot during the pandemic. I get to do it. It's a choice. It brings us back to that space of agency. I choose to, I want to, I get to. Rather than I should, I have to. Puts us in a space of obligation. And we will often resist what we have to do because we feel like a kid again, defying our parents, right? Very typical. And so if you are someone who is struggling with the in-between, moving towards something that you want to be, habits that you want to have, if you want to change your attitude to something that you, let's say, want to do, like online dating or fitness or whatever it is, weight loss, cooking, positive habits, connecting with others, learning to be more social again, come up with reasons why you want to do these things. When we set things up as obligations that, we should do, we are setting ourselves up for failure, psychologically and mindset-wise. And it's important. It's important, right? Because I don't want y'all to stagnate. That's not fun. No one likes to stagnate. And life is a constant dance of growth, of expansion and contraction, of attracting things to us, of releasing things that no longer serve us. All of these things are so important. We're always in this dance that is very much like the moon, right? The ebbs and flows of the moon, the waxing and waning, the full moon and the new moon, the celebration and the release. That is what life is all about. And when we stay in this negative kind of stagnant mindset of, coming up with reasons why we're powerless, that is really not a good way to look at the world, no matter what your circumstances. And I get it. I've had some bad circumstances too. I completely understand. And it's so important to keep that spark inside of us alive. Keep that hope alive. Keep the perseverance, the grit alive. And optimism, fake it till you make it. I definitely used to brainwash myself into being optimistic, and it felt totally fake at the time. But now I can say I genuinely am. I genuinely am an optimistic person. I pretty much don't get stressed out, really. I just figure everything's going to be fine. It's all going to work out. And I've always figured it out in the past. And so why would I not figure things out now? Problem solving. And what we focus on tends to expand. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I've really found it to be true. And so if we focus on why we can't do something, the reasons why we can't do something is just going to multiply. But if we focus on ways that we could solve a problem that we have, we're just going to keep coming up with new solutions. And isn't that a better use of our creativity? All right, y'all, I'm going to leave you with that for now. Happy new moon. Happy new moon. I hope it's a really lovely new moon for everybody. And announcements. You can still get a copy of my new book, Body Magic, the handmade edition. You can get that on Kickstarter, and there's a link to the Kickstarter on my website, sabrinamscott.com. I do have some time for tarot readings next week. You can also book that at my website, sabrinamscott.com. And there's also, I think, a little inquiry form on my website. I'm building the coaching page now, so there will be more obvious information soon. I am coaching a bunch of people right now who just approached me and asked if I coach. So I was like, yes, I do. And it's been amazing. And I want to formalize the explanation of what the hell it is I do on coaching on my website. So that's coming soon. And if you are someone who is interested in coaching in any part of your life, whether it is witchcraft and spirituality, or whether it's stronger boundaries, whether it is finding your authentic self, connecting with who you really are, getting out of bad and abusive relationships, whatever it is that you're going through, I'm happy to help. Maybe it's creativity, maybe it is starting a witchy business of your own, whatever it is, I would love to help you. And if I don't think I can help you, or if I think you should be in therapy instead, I will tell you. So I'm definitely not a therapist, and there's some people who really should be focusing on that in conjunction with coaching. So definitely something to think about, and I would love to help you if you are someone who is interested in being coached by me, especially longer term. I think we get the best results that way. And what else? I'm also going to be launching a feminine energy boot camp next month. So if you're interested in that, please hit me up. It is currently being designed, and I do want it to be very responsive to what is present for folks, what people are going through right now, so that we can work with the feminine energy and masculine energy if necessary in such a way that it is supportive of leading a life that is more authentic, growth-oriented, positive, and just abundant and peaceful, and all of these good things, creative, etc., etc., etc. All right, y'all, that's it from me. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Much love, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.